What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Midwest Outdoors Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jim O'Neill, and we are here at the home of the first place Chicago Bears. That's right, Chicago, Illinois. And I have to say that on this fishing podcast because I never get to talk about my Bears being in first place. So sorry to the boys up north. We're the Kings right now. Speaking of the Kings, winter is coming and winter is here. We have snowfall all across the Midwest, over 30 inches in parts of the UP right now. Here in Chicago, anywhere from 6 to 10, and it is quite the scene. Now, as you see behind us, we still have open water here. This is the transitional time between ice fishing and open water. Ice could happen at any day now if that cold snap really comes and we start seeing those single digits to negatives like they are seeing way up north. But for a couple weeks here in Chicago, at the end of fall and in the early part of winter, we have one of the best open water fisheries in the Midwest, and that is winter fishing for perch and lake trout right here in Chicago. In fact, I got a rod tied up already. And as you can see, we're out on the lakefront right now. Although I won't expect to see many Lakers here in this cut, it is full of perch. In fact, in 5 minutes since we've been here, I've seen over 30 perch caught already, but unfortunately it seems like a lot of dinks, a lot of small fish, if you will. And that seems pretty common normally. The small fish come in before the big fish. Kind of like those big fish know what's there to wait for them. The fishermen, the brown trout, the smallmouth, the lake trout, all those things you can still catch, of course, here, including steelhead, but hundreds of thousands of perch, millions of perch come into Chicago every single year. And that is what all these fishermen are here for. Plenty of amazing table fare here to take part of. So 15 fish a day, no real size limits, but of course those beautiful eaters are 8 to 12 inches. Some would argue a little bigger, some would say maybe even start at 7. But the perch, in my opinion, is the best tasting fish in fresh water. And that is why we are out here, all of us, to brave these elements and catch those striped bandits. As for gear, guys, I'm using a 6.6 medium action spinning rod. You can get away with medium light, but I like that medium in case we do catch a trout or a smallmouth. For my spinning reel here, I've got a 1000 size Regal LT, one of my favorite reels on the market for under $100, guys. It looks great, has an awesome drag system, and it just works. And I use this for open water and ice fishing. As for line, I've got 10-pound fins braid. And as for my bait here, most of these people are using minnows. I would say the go-to technique to catch these perch in Chicago is a crappie rig, which is a drop shot rig pretty much with 2 different hooks coming off of it. And it is not uncommon to catch multiple fish, 2 fish on each one, and completely legal, of course. But I like to challenge myself a little more, and I like to catch those bigger fish. And it seems like sometimes using artificial is the way to go for that. Today I got a nice little combo here, all right? We have a 3/8 ounce custom jigs and spins jig head, and I've got a Fish Daddy spike J shad on the back, and that UV glow should help in this murkier water since we got a bunch of snow the last couple days. So without further ado, we're gonna cast and see if we can't catch anything. Any cast in Chicago could be a record, and I think that's why I love this place. Yes, a big city is not always the first place you think about for fishing, especially Chicago with all it has to offer with food, entertainment, music, so on and so forth. But Chicago is a fishing city, and these are places that make it. The tradition. We are here on a terrible weather day, a work day, mind you, and at least 50 people are here, and we're half an hour away from sunset. At sunrise, there was probably 200 people here today. Not to mention the other slips that have people, and Navy Pier, really the place that made perch fishing famous here in Chicago. So with all these different opportunities, all these different species to catch, if you guys haven't hit up Chicago yet, you're missing out. That being said, if you're not gonna be fishing in Chicago this week, here's a little fishing report that I got. Lake Erie, around 40-degree water temps, 38 now. We're hoping this year is gonna be the year that it freezes. Central Michigan, I've gotten reports of 1 inch of ice on small bodies of water, ponds and lakes, with large lakes mostly open, but also skimmed over. That's in the Central Michigan area. As for Chicago, December 1st, this morning, we had ice cover on most small bodies of water, but the sun and the slightly above freezing temps opened up a lot of them. As you see, the Great Lakes are completely open here in Chicago. Northern Wisconsin, I got a report last night from the Rhinelander area of 2.5 inches of ice and a big walleye being caught already. So if you wanted to be the first one out on the ice and you're seeing this and you haven't been out yet, you kind of already missed the boat. But listen, safety first. There are places this week that are going to have safe ice. North Dakota, maybe some parts of South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, the UP, Michigan. Urge safety on everyone. I am as giddy as you guys are to get out on the ice, I promise you. Hopefully it'll be this upcoming week after the St. Paul Ice Show. If you guys have not made that in your plans yet, please come by and see us at the St. Paul Ice Show this weekend, Friday through Sunday. I'll be in the Fish Daddy booth, but we will have Greg Jones over in the Midwest Outdoors booth. So come by, say hi to both of us, pick up a subscription to Midwest Outdoors. We have some great gifts. And of course, at Fish Daddy, we're gonna have the baits that catch the fish. Speaking of, I gotta get back to fishing, but stay tuned. We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we're gonna be right back with a couple legends from Chicago to talk about what fishing in Chicago means to them and how it's changed over the years.
Midwest Outdoors Magazine helps you enjoy the outdoors, giving you the best information on where to go, what to use, and how to use it. With fishing maps marked by the pros, nature notes, in-depth interviews, and much, much more. Your subscription gets you 10 big issues of the best in fishing, hunting, and the great outdoors. Plus, Midwest Outdoors Digital Edition gives you dozens of extra articles. Sign up now at MWOMag.com. That's MWOMag.com.
Alrighty, and we have a warm welcome back to who saved in my phone as Ryan Whitacre.
Never heard that one before. That's very creative.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how to spell that. He's just getting a nickname. Ryan Whitacre, aka Popcorn. The guy that's now part of another fishing. Well, how long have you been part of Stray Cast now?
10 years, I believe. Yeah. 10. Yeah, 2016, I think late 2015 was our first show, I believe. So yeah, 10 years.
Yeah, I realized, we've had Ryan on in the past before, but I know we really didn't talk about that much. And I think that's probably how we met, is through Pat at some point.
Fishing shows.
Yeah. Yep, the shows, exactly. And I mean, obviously that show's grown over the years, but with collaboration with Bassmaster the last couple, it's, definitely getting more nationally recognized and stuff. What have you taken out of that since that pairing the last couple of years?
It's awesome. I mean, we get to talk to some of the best bass anglers in the world, the best bass anglers in the world, honestly. Yeah. And it's hard to retain all the information. Over 10 years of doing it, or 8, I don't know, I had a small hiatus in there, probably 8 solid years of doing shows. And the one thing I get is they're all just dudes. I mean, they're all just fishermen. You step right in and talk to them. If you fish, everybody's friends. Everybody's got the same mindset for the most part. Catch bass. It's something we all love to do, and it's usually instant friendships when you meet other people that are weird enough to want to just chase bass every day and catch as many as you can every day. So
yeah,
it's fun.
I like to, I don't know where to talk about that on screen, but off screen, I've really, especially the last year, I'm like, listen, I know how bizarre it is that I am fueled by chasing truly a tail, a fin. Like it's
Yeah.
weird. I'm not
Yeah.
denying that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely weird. And it's an addiction, I
It
think.
is. No, it is
Like,
for sure.
because, you can go out and catch, you can have a great day, catch 60, 70 bass. And if I do that, I'm still out there. It's almost dark and I need another bite,
You can't give it up.
need another hit, you know, just can't put the
Right.
rod down. You got to get another bite.
Yeah, it's like, and that's why I think it is, listen, I love fishing. Fishing is my piece, right? But the addiction is the tug. The tug is the drug. Because it's
Yeah.
like, if you have a day, if you go 4 or 5 hours in terrible weather, you might call it. But if you have terrible weather, but you're catching fish, like somehow I'm warm for 12 hours.
I don't call it in terrible weather. It's bad. It's bad.
There's different,
If
there's
the
different
bite is
levels
tough, for me, if the bite is tough, I'm going to be out there even longer.
because you got to figure it
If
out.
it's really easy and they're biting really good, I'm more likely to say, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
But if I feel like I'm not learning anything, but I'm usually running to a different spot or throwing something different or whatever. But if it's tough, then I need the bite, so I got to keep trying harder. So I'll stay out there even longer.
And I think a big difference there is my mentality these days, not fishing tournaments and you being very active in
Yeah.
tournaments.
Tournaments and charters as
guiding.
well. I mean, that's through running charters. It's
Yep.
like it's even more intense for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I
July
love
for me.
tournament fishing so much, but guiding it's the same thing. The
Yeah.
objective is the same. Put as many fish in the boat, as big a fish in the boat as you can.
So that being said, that's why I brought you on. As much as we could talk about life and all our joys, we can do that forever.
Mhm.
You know, you are these days, I think, on the lakefront more than anyone that I know. And I think I have a pretty good idea of who's fishing out there, how much. Um, and like you said, you've spent more and more time, especially with your guide service now and such. Um, we're seeing bigger fish. We're seeing a 14-pound walleye this past week.
Mhm.
This spring, how many times did you and I talk on the phone about a couple of the bass that were caught,
Yeah. Yeah.
and other species showing up. The pike are more abundant now. There's burbot. We're hopefully going to do a show about that. Burbot getting caught off the reefs and stuff on the south end, not just up in Green Bay and stuff like that. So real quick, and we can expand on it, but what are a couple of the major changes you've seen on the lakefront, let's say in the last decade or so?
More people fishing.
Sure.
Say that. But as far as the fishery changes, I don't know. I think we touched on this last time, but just the clearer water periods seem to last longer now. Like it used to muddy up a lot more, even during the warmer weather seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And now it seems like, I don't know, it's just the clarity seems to be good a lot longer. When you get a big northeast blow and you get 10+ foot waves crashing in to Chicago or Indiana, they used to just muddy it up for, it could muddy for a week or two. And now it seems like, if it muddies up for a day and then the wind shifts, it's cleaned up. It's cleaned up enough to get bites. It doesn't shut down as much anymore.
So we talked about that last time, like you said, and I did a little research. All right. And I'm like, why? How can this be a thing? Right. So
more zebra mussels.
So here's you ready for my maybe three things I got for you?
Let's hear it.
I'll start with, you already spoiled me, but good job. The zebra mussels, yes, are staying in such giant packs at times. They are like a tree root for stability, so less erosion.
Mm-hmm.
It truly keeps the ground together. You have less algae and stuff growing directly on like a slick plastic pole where it's easier for a boat to shoot it off, or more just stuff turning up. It's actually on the mussels and binds to their porous shell better. So that's a little one, but the two bigger ones, and again, I have no facts on this stuff, but just stuff I've learned and read, a lot of the sand in our beaches is imported in and dumped, right? and that goes around, our south end. We have these beautiful beaches, and I don't know what those beaches looked like, 100 years ago or whatever, 50 years ago, before they started bringing in salt water, sand from the beaches in like Florida and stuff. But
Yeah.
I'd imagine that's cleaner sand. I'd imagine where we live, because the Midwest was very much a wetlandish area. I'd imagine there was a lot of sand, or a lot of mud rather, and muck. But then we have the limestone bottom here in the Midwest too. So I wonder if some of that dirt and mud's getting either pushed out into the lake or physically pushed down, and that sand's covering it. Because that sand, why do they keep putting it in every year? Because it gets taken off the beaches, right? So that's
true.
That's going into the lake somewhere.
Yeah, I never thought about that one. The area around the beaches in Chicago, if you go out offshore a little bit, there's a lot of sand out there. I wasn't really looking for that years ago, 10, 20 years ago, but it could have something to it.
Yep.
Could have something to do with it.
And then
Less silt,
My third is, although I know weather travels, right, west to east, but a lot of the big rivers that pump out on the more southern side of Lake Michigan are more on the Michigan side, where the big rivers, besides like Milwaukee, the bigger rivers are more on the further north, right, on our side, on the west side. And those rivers in Michigan, due to lower waterfall the last 2 seasons now, the Grand River, people can walk across in a lot of areas. It's like a major problem. And I wonder if some of those rivers, I wonder if some of those rivers that used to have, rivers are known to be dirty and mucky, since those aren't pumping water out as much. I wonder if that has something to do with it too. So those are my three that I got.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that the dirt the muddiness was always caused by waves churning up the silt along the shorelines in the shallower water. But I don't know. I like it. One other thing that's changed is, especially in the last 5 years, is that the water is dropping rapidly. It's very low right now.
For sure.
I don't know that. I mean, I've been fishing it for 23 years, and I don't know that I've seen it lower than it is right now. Maybe 10, 12 years ago, I know it got real low. I don't know if I remember it this low. There would be a way to figure that out. But
Sure.
I was watching it drop the last 3 weeks that I fished. It was dropping every day. Like
Really?
I was watching it going to the same ramp every day and seeing it down 3-4 inches a day. And even throughout the day, and it wasn't just a seiche. Like there were some of those going on when you get a strong west wind.
Yep.
And you get that crazy fluctuation within hours.
Yeah.
But it was just steady falling. And I saw that 2 years ago in the fall too, like in November, where it was just dropping. But I don't have a great answer.
Where does that water go? That's a lot of water.
I did do some reading about all these data centers that are popping up, and they're building them nonstop.
Yeah.
And those things pull a ton of water.
Places. Yeah.
The reason that they're putting a lot near Chicago is because of the water. They've got Lake Michigan. They can pull water out of it. And a lot of that water doesn't make it back. A lot of it evaporates. So, I mean, they're pulling tons of water out of the lake. That's one thing. I don't know how big of an effect it's having, but if they're pulling water out of it every day, it's got to have an effect.
Sure.
Somewhat.
I mean, it's just to drop Lake Michigan. And I know it's not the whole lake. I understand it's just the area.
A lot of water.
But like, if you're dropping inches a day, I mean, we're talking, I don't even know how many millions and tens of millions, 100 millions. I don't know, but you're talking millions and millions and millions of gallons of water.
Yeah. I don't have a great answer. All I know is I was marking the wall every day, and it was dropping every single morning. Every single morning I'd come back, even in the afternoon, I'd go fish for 8 hours, come back, and it was down from where it was in the morning.
Yeah.
Every single day. So I know the lake goes in cycles, and I know it'll probably come back, but it's a little scary right now. Some of the boat ramps are getting pretty sketchy. Like if you had a longer trailer than mine, you'd definitely be going off the end of it at Burnham for sure. If anyone's watching to the south, if you're going to launch at Burnham, do not use the south ramp at Burnham right now.
I've been
There's
told
3
that
of
you
them,
want to
and the
use
south
the
ramp is broken.
Northmore ramp further towards the city, not the south side.
Yep.
You want the further one towards the building.
Yeah, you want the middle one and the north one. Do
Yeah.
not use that south one. It's a dead drop at the end of that. That metal extension they put in years ago has broken, and it's gnarly. I would not use that.
It's a good way to get your trailer stuck on a ramp. I did that in Georgia.
Yep. Yeah.
So, all right. So maybe, that kind of transitions me into the next topic. We were told for so long that what was going to devastate Lake Michigan. We were told the zebra mussels first. We touched on those. They're doing all right. They're cleaning the water. They're doing whatever. The Asian carp, which from my understanding, we've been pretty lucky. Maybe 1 or 2 sightings, but that's about it.
I haven't heard of a sighting on the actual lake. Have you?
True. No, I'm talking connective channels. Yeah. But the third is the gobies, and I wanted to bring that up to you, especially because of small. I know you fish for some other things out on the lake, but definitely smallmouth bass is your go-to. I know all the viewers know that I've gotten into spear fishing in the last couple of years, and this year I didn't do as much spear fishing as I wish I would have, just because of timing and gear and weather and whatever. But the times I did dive was almost all Lake Michigan or Lake Geneva, and the times on Lake Michigan rather, I dove anywhere from Sturgeon Bay all the way down here to home, and the thing I really noticed is how many gobies are there. And I mean, it's an insane amount of gobies, really. I was overwhelmed with how many I was seeing. Obviously I have caught plenty of gobies in my life. We've all caught them if as a kid, if you fish with plastics or live bait, and they've started getting bigger. In Michigan City, I caught a few this year that were like, I swear to God, 7 or 8 inches. I mean, they were massive. Yeah. But what I couldn't get over is how many minuscule, tiny gobies just litter the floor. I mean, so many. You would think these fish are never hungry, but it shows you that, it's selective eating. Sometimes there's always food available. It's just, do you make them bite?
Yeah.
So my question is, after all that rambling, what changes have you seen for the gobies, and do you think that is a direct, a direct connection to why we're starting to see some of these giant smallmouth caught?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, giant smallmouth, giant trout, giant walleye, even perch. I know the perch are sucking gobies up too. Yeah. It's endless food. Like you said, they're everywhere. I'm lucky enough to have a couple of AquaView cameras that I take out there and mess around with, and just hunt for new spots. And I'd challenge anyone, if you got a camera, go out there, go anywhere. Yeah. Lake Michigan, and drop your camera down and try to not see gobies. I mean, they're everywhere. They're not only where there's rocks, they're on the sand, they're in the sand grass, they're in the gravel, they're everywhere. And
they are everywhere.
They are everywhere. Yeah. And this year, specifically, like you're talking about the bigger gobies. For I'd say the last 7 to 10 years, gobies have been a lot smaller. Like we don't catch them like we used to. Yeah. You used to catch them on anything, anything
they would hit artificials. You'd catch a lot. Yeah. That's why I'm surprised.
If you were drop shotting, you were going to catch gobies. Like, 2010, 2011, 2012, back then, like you were going to catch a goby, several of them a day, sometimes dozens. Yeah. And in the last 7-10 years, we don't catch them that often. If you do catch them, we usually follow hook one with a tube or something like that. But this year, toward the end of the summer, I was catching like big ones, like big ones, like 6-7 inch gobies, which, I mean, that's a big goby.
No, yeah, that's what I'm talking about in Michigan City. I never seen them like that before.
So through all the other tournament guys and just bass fishermen I talked to, there was like a month there where everybody was saying the same thing. They're like, God, I'm catching huge gobies, for this whole month. So I don't know if those things migrate at all. I assume they just kind of hang around. Because because there's not a time I don't see them. But we are seeing some bigger ones, and that's a good thing because, Door County, that area, obviously there's more chance of a 6, 7, 8 pound smallmouth up there, and they have the big gobies. There's a lot more real big ones, and now we're starting to see them down here, and we're starting to see bigger fish. So that could have something to do with it. But 100%, the reason that we're seeing bigger smallmouth every year since the gobies were introduced, it's because of the gobies. It's 100% because of the gobies. The zebra mussels cleaned the water. The gobies came in and fed all these fish, and now everything's eating them. I believe that every fish that actually eats other fish in Lake Michigan is eating gobies at one time or another throughout the year.
Like you said, I mean, I have found for sure evidence that they are in a brown trout, that they're in the perch. And we know they're in the bass, and I'm sure they're in some other stuff,
I'm sure carp are eating them too.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'll say this, the only thing I didn't see them, and this is a PSA. We'll say this again, guys, if you're going out downtown Chicago or really anywhere around, you should learn how to smoke lake trout, because we need people eating lake trout right now, because there are so many lake trout. And when I cut one open, we kept one last year, there was a baby northern pike and 23 or 26 perch in the belly.
Yep.
I mean, think about that. We're worried about humans over harvesting, and we've got hundreds. Don't even talk to me about the birds, but we've got they're an issue of themselves. But then we've got these lake trout that, again, people are that's like an easy catch and release fish these days. It's becoming almost like a bass. You just put them back, because they're not the best table fare, but you can do good things with them if you smoke them or prepare them right. But it's almost becoming nuisance how well they're doing and thriving in Chicago, in my opinion.
Yeah, the good thing is that they're not here for very long. They're here through the winter.
True.
And then they're back out in 100, 200 feet of water, wherever they go. I only know anything about them when they're near shore. I don't go out. I'm not out there 20, 30 miles out. But yeah, those things are eating machines. And I've seen them. I've had them actually cough up gobies while catching them.
Have you?
Too.
Yeah.
So I know they're eating those things. We catch them on baits very close to the bottom. So they're down there eating those. And but I love those lake trout. I think it's such a cool bite to get on late in the year. I mean, when everything else slows down and the perch aren't quite in yet, and smallmouth bites starting to slow down, and you get these big lake trout to go catch. And
they're bruisers. They're fun.
Catching them on light gear is super fun.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, Ryan, as the bass guy, we tried to get out this year. It looks like that's probably not going to happen. We might, that big water might get hard pretty quick here.
Real fast.
Yeah. In other years, the past couple of years, and we do have plenty of viewers that are in the South right now, that still have access to open water, especially Kentucky lakes becoming an unbelievable smallmouth fishery now slowly, which is awesome. Your top baits for winter smallmouth. Go.
Oh, it'd be a tube, a mini tube, a jig, like a 2.5, 275 tube. I like the little Maxent tube.
Yep.
And then a small jig, tightrope, baby fire.
Like a tightrope, maybe?
Maybe. Yeah. Small jig, 1/4 ounce, 3/8 ounce jig with I know people say they stop eating crawfish when the water gets cold, but they'll still eat a jig that looks like a crawfish. Absolutely, especially on the lake. If they're eating gobies or whatever, jig's a great choice for fishing the bottom out there. And then a blade bait.
Yeah, blade bait, awesome.
Can't beat a blade bait as long as there's bait around. If there's alewives around or emerald shiners, they will eat a blade bait. I'd say those three things. If you're going cold water smallmouth fishing, you're going to get bit on one of those three things.
Yeah, it's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
Maybe not as common in Chicagoland because of our regulations, but I'd throw the A-rig in there. I love if you can throw it.
Yep, A-rig's good. But fishing something very slow on the bottom is
hard to beat.
I can't stress that enough either. Very slow.
Painfully slow.
If you're fishing 38, 39, 40 degree water, and you're making a cast and you think you're around fish with a bottom bait, your bait should not be back to the boat. Any faster than 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes.
Really?
Leave that thing out there. Let them find it.
Really take your time.
Yep. Yeah, very long cast, very long distance cast and long duration throughout your drag. Move it an inch at a time.
Very good. Well, last question, Ryan, because it's here. Will you step foot on the ice this year?
I've been clean from ice fishing for 2 years.
I know.
But there could be a relapse.
All right.
It's possible.
It
depends on how brutal this winter gets.
We'll work on it. We'll work you down.
I'd say there's a stronger chance that I just drive south a couple hours to a power plant lake and go catch some bass. And
I'll tell you what, Newton already sounding pretty good right about now.
For sure. Yep.
All right, Ryan. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. And if anyone wants to get a nice little Christmas gift maybe for someone and book a trip with the Chicago, the best city skyline in the background, where do they go to book you for next spring?
ChicagoBassFishing.com.
Pretty easy.
Very easy. Yeah. Yeah.
Very good, everyone. Well, hey, this is Ryan Whitacre, guys. One of the core members here in the Chicagoland fishing community. It's not a giant group, but we all know each other's faces, and it's a cool group. And I know
growing.
What's that?
It's growing.
It is growing, and more people, not only from the state of Illinois, which we know we've done some amazing things in the last few years in the world of fishing, but now even more so even around here, the Chicago and guys.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep. Well, all right, guys, that's Ryan Whitacre, aka Popcorn. After you're done watching Midwest Outdoors podcast and TV show, go check out Stray Casts. Again, from the Brotherhood of the Chi-Town area and the region. We'll give them a shout out too.
Thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate it.
All right, Ryan. Hey, have a happy holidays. We'll see you maybe on the ice.
Midwest Outdoors Magazine helps you enjoy the outdoors, giving you the best information on where to go, what to use, and how to use it. With fishing maps marked by the pros, nature notes, in-depth interviews, and much, much more. Your subscription gets you 10 big issues of the best in fishing, hunting, and the great outdoors. Plus, Midwest Outdoors Digital Edition gives you dozens of extra articles. Sign up now at MWOMag.com. That's MWOMag.com.
Well, we've been fishing for about 20 minutes so far, and we've gotten 3 or 4 bites, but none of them have committed completely. It might be because I'm using the wrong color or maybe too large of a bait. Luckily, we have the whole selection of Fish Daddy baits with us today. So I think in a second here, we're gonna change, and it'll give me an awesome opportunity to tell you guys about maybe not a state or world record that was caught, but since this is the Chicago show, we gotta talk about one heck of a fish caught here in Chicago. We have Leo Garza, who is now the Chicago walleye record holder, and of Thin Blue Line Fishing, Ernesto, his brother. What's going on, guys? How are we feeling today?
Hey, what's going on, Jim? How's it going, Jim?
Hey, I'm feeling good. I'm packing up. I got my short rods ready to go. We're headed up north. But before we put all the long rods away, I guess you guys capped it. You guys had a nice little story to end the open water season. And before we know it, I think even the big water is going to have ice on it here in a couple days.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a great season, and it was definitely this last outing with my brother. It was definitely one for the books.
You want to walk us through what happened about a week ago or so?
Yeah. So basically, my brother, who also is my first mate, it was his birthday and he wanted to do some fishing. He actually planned this trip a while back. It was to go out with his sons. Some last minute changes happened where his kids couldn't make it. And I told my brother, I'm like, hey, you're not canceling. We're going out. So we ended up going out with, on the water. It was him, my brother Leo, my buddy David. We went out, hit the big water. We knew November is usually a great time for jigging for lake trout. So that's what we set up for. We went out on my Ranger, hit up around Navy Pier. My buddy David, within his second cast, immediately hooked up on a nice, probably about a 14-pound lake trout. What we were targeting, lake trout.
Yep.
We could see them on the live scope. They were all up against the wall and stuff like that. So my brother Leo, a couple minutes later, he hooks up, and I'll let him go ahead and share his experience with that.
Yeah. So I cast out after he said our friend David caught a nice laker, and cast it out. Let it hit the ground. Pulled once. The second time I pulled, for a minute, I thought I probably got snagged. Kind of felt, I felt a little. And then my friend David was like, "Hey, you got a fish?" I was like, "I'm not too sure." And as soon as I said that, my rod started bouncing. And then I realized, I was like, "Yeah, I do have a fish on." So my brother grabbed the net. About 5 minutes fighting him, he came up. We netted him. I didn't think nothing of it. To me, it was just a regular laker. That's what I thought it was. I've caught bigger ones before. We didn't realize it until he put the fish on the boat, and he realized that it was a walleye. And at that point, I realized it was a walleye, and he just started freaking out because he knew at that point that we had some kind of record fish. So we headed straight to the bait shop to go get it weighted, and it was a good 49th birthday for me.
Yeah, I think I didn't even know that, and maybe I skimmed through it. I might have read it when the article came out, but I didn't realize that was your birthday. So I think that does add a little, frosting on top, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. Just like you said, the trip was originally for my sons. My sons then, we're always in the water. Me and him are always on the water. But my son's always like, "Man, I see you guys catch these big fish. I'm tired of fishing these small lakes. I want to catch some big fish." So originally it was for him to take him out for his birthday, because his birthday is a couple of days before mine. And fortunately, like I told him, I was like, "Man, you lost out." And he regrets it to this day. He's like, "Man, I should have went out with you guys. That could have been me."
I was about to say, I know he's thinking about that could have been his fish, or at least that he could have been around it, but that's fishing. Everything works out the way it's supposed to. And who knows if anything like that would have happened, if just one thing was different,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was like he said, we just landed a lake trout, and when I seen it in the water as it was coming up, it had that lake trout color. So,
Sure.
I'm over there, messing with the cameras. I'm like telling my buddy, "Here, hold on to this camera. I got my hat camera. I'm grabbing the net and net it." I'm like, once I get it on the boat, and I'm like, "Man, this kind of looks like a walleye." And all of a sudden, those fins come up. And I'm like, "Oh!" I start jumping. I'm like super excited. That's when it hit me. I'm like, "Oh, this is not a lake trout." And it's a little embarrassing because I get a lot of, "How do you?" A lot of people commenting, "How'd you not know that was a walleye?" I'm like, "Well, because when I seen it, I wasn't really focused, and I've never caught a walleye or seen somebody land a walleye on Lake Michigan. I've seen it on the papers and stuff like that, but this was definitely a first in over 30 years of seeing and witnessing somebody catch a walleye, especially of that size on Lake Michigan, on the Illinois side."
Right. Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I know you guide out there and you spend a lot of time out there, but that's good to know. You've never seen one. Personally, like you said, maybe one or two articles from Dale Bowman, over the years, someone accidentally catches one. Now, some people might not know this. We've talked once about it on the podcast, but, we have, well, at least we did have two great rivers just to our east that produce giant walleye. The Port of Indiana had big walleye in it, and people used to be able to really fish those until 9/11 happened, and then they closed the port and it's kind of inaccessible. But then Michigan City too, I watched an 11.5 pounder caught once there in Trail Creek right there in the mouth, between November and February, those big walleye used to come in there, and you'd see a few caught a year or hear of them. But the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, really quiet on that front. But that being said, we've got this giant lake. with tons of fish everywhere. We don't even know what the heck's in this thing. You know, I've heard stories of 10 to 12-foot sturgeon. I've heard stories of 50 musky on the south end. We have these unbelievable fisheries in Traverse Bay and Sturgeon Bay, you know, we're on the two sides of our north, and all that stuff's got to slowly trickle down if it's thriving. That's how I feel, at least, you know.
I was filling up at Belmont Harbor, and I'm looking down, and all of a sudden it was probably about a 4 or 5 foot sturgeon just swimming right underneath my boat. I'm like, there they are, you know, and this was just last year.
Yeah.
So, and then we came across a floating sturgeon.
Your floater was bigger, right?
Yeah, the floater was bigger. That was an interesting story. You know, it's a sad story to start off with because you know, a couple of people ended up losing their lives, and a charter captain earlier that morning had, you know, located one of the bodies, and in that same area where we had found the sturgeon floating, and we had a group of doctors on the boat that day. And we just see this big thing floating in the water, you know, it's white. And we're like, oh, that looks like a shirt, you know, it looks like a body. The doctors are like, yeah, that looks like a body. And, you know, we go on the radio, notify the Coast Guard, we pull up all our lines. And when we get there, it's a big sturgeon floating in the water. And we're like, holy crap, a sturgeon just right there floating. So that was another interesting story on the lake.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, water, we barely talk about this, but it's a known fact. We know just about some of the deep water on our planet than we do some of the space around us, you know? I mean, it's so unexplored, and it's just truly crazy what's in there. I know that this pike isn't even one of the first giant fish you've caught on the lakefront, right? Was it a northern pike? I think you guys caught them.
It was a beauty of a northern pike. It's definitely the largest of the pikes that I've landed in, in Lake Michigan. Mm-hmm. And the reason I knew that the walleye that we had caught was going to probably be a Lake Michigan record, because last year, for Fish of the Year was about an 8-pound walleye caught, and it beat out my northern pike.
Yeah.
That northern pike that I landed, it was a little over 20 pounds, 43 inches. And we were targeting smallmouth bass that day. Yeah. And we were fishing inside the playpen, you know, jigging, you know, casting and jigging for some smallies. And all of a sudden, you know, we got this big old pike, you know, on the other end of the line. Which was a massive pike. And, you know, I caught that on a white tube jig, you know, just going for smallies.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I spent a lot of time on the lake, right? When you're in the Cook County area, we are limited on our water, right? Until you get far north, far south, or we got this big chunk of water out to our east there. And it always shocks me how many non-fishermen are shocked to see nice fish caught in Lake Michigan, you know. So many people are shocked to find out we have salmon, you know, which is fair. They're stocked, you know, it's a whole process. Not everyone knows that we got ocean fish and stuff, but it is so cool that we have this in our backyard. Now, you have a decade or so more than me on the water. What are some of the things that you've seen that have changed over the last few years?
I would say definitely like the water clarity and the temperature, especially over last year. You know, that's been huge. You know, the water clarity, I mean, you could go out there and you're looking and you could see, you know, 30, 40, 50 feet down, you know, which is huge. And then obviously, you know, with the water temperature, you know, that's been heating up the water. You know, last year, I think it was probably about 5 degrees warmer than it's been, you know, over previous years.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely played an increase as far as like the, you know, the fishing and stuff like that. Last year, one thing that I noticed is everything seemed to be pushed up about 2 to 3 weeks. You know, like we were catching king salmon, you know, early April, you know, which to me, that was like, wow, we're catching kings this early in the season. And then usually in June, you know, that first 2 weeks of June, you know, the June swoon, the fishing usually slows down during that period, which that was pushed to like, you know, mid to late May. Mm-hmm. So that water temperature definitely played a factor, you know, and I think that's some of the main things that I've noticed with the water.
Yeah, we just had another Lake Michigan captain on, Ryan Whitacre, a second ago, and that was one of the first things he said too, is the differences that he's seen in the clarity. We used to have a lot dirtier water, and when it got dirty, it stayed dirty. It seemed like longer, and his observation is that it's clearing out faster. And I guess you guys will have to watch the rest of the show to see what my hypothesis is on that. But
Okay.
um, definitely some changes going on, and all these things that are happening. Maybe the zebra mussels are clearing it too. We know how many of those we have,
Oh
but
yeah.
all these things I keep getting told that are going to ruin the lake, it really just seems like we kind of keep getting a little better, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, last year was a phenomenal year for like just multi-species in general, from smallmouth bass, pike fishing is always good on the lake, especially inside the harbors. Coho season was on fire, but I think personally, last year king salmon was. I mean, we were catching them from spring all the way to the very end. In October, we were still catching kings. Out in deeper waters. But no, I think fishing's definitely getting better. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely. And just because he's a little quiet, Leo, what's your most rewarding and most annoying thing about working with your brother as a deckhand?
Most rewarding is just seeing his passion.
Sure.
Kind of makes me want to, learn more and be a better fisherman. He has such passion for fishing, and it kind of brings out the best. I mean, the most annoying. I mean, he just knows that I'm a better fisherman than him, and
Right.
he won't admit it, but
Hey, now it's in the books. Now there's paper.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, but all in all, I mean, I have a good time. It's a blessing to get to work with my brother. And a lot of people, like when they see us together, they're like, "You guys are brothers," and we're like, "Yeah." And they kind of like look, they kind of like freak out for a minute. They're like, "You guys are brothers? You guys don't even look alike." But yeah, it's been great.
Hey, same folks, different strokes, right?
Yeah.
So, real quick before we let you go, you got your merched out. As a past firefighter medic, I want to always thank those that keep our community safe. And not only are you cleaning up the bottom of Lake Michigan, taking all those hogs out, but you're cleaning up the streets of Chicago. So I appreciate that. If someone wants to book a trip with you, you want to talk about what you offer and everything and how they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So you could go and visit my website. It's Thin Blue Line Fishing LLC.com. They could give me a call, 708-663-2467. A couple of things that we offer, being that we have a larger boat, which is it's basically only used on Lake Michigan. And then we have a smaller boat, which is our Ranger, which we could use on Lake Michigan. And we also guide on some of the smaller inland lakes, like Wolf Lake, Channel Lake, and the Chicago River. So not only do we go after, lake trout and salmon, we also target perch, pike, smallmouth, largemouth, and we even go up to the Channel Lake and target some musky.
Well, then I guess before I let you go, what's up with these perch? Everything's ahead of time, but these perch the last couple of years seem to be pushed back a little bit. Is that what you're seeing, or what's going on there?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, they are catching them.
Yeah, they are. They are.
About right now. But it's hard to say. I mean, they a couple of weeks ago they were catching up closer towards Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's hard to really say. But you know what? They're biting right now. So if you want to go on the water and catch some perch, they're out there. You can catch them from shore right there by Navy Pier, or head up, a little further south and get out there and get that rod in the water and catch some perch.
Absolutely. The beautiful thing is, if you're an in-state resident, $15 and you have access to that gorgeous lake all year round. You can start with coho in the spring, move to the smallmouth bass. Then you got a summer full of everything from gobies to The red ear sunfish on the lakefront have blown my mind. The pumpkin seeds, I should say. Pumpkin seeds the last few years, those are really getting well in the harbor. I'm seeing more largemouth now than ever in the harbors. A lot of juveniles we caught this fall. A lot of little stalker size or reproducing largemouth, which was interesting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then, yeah, man, the pike, the kings, the browns, the steelhead, the Lakers, the perch. I mean, it's hard to figure out sometimes, but either boat or shore, you always have a chance, and you always have a chance at a giant because you never know what cast is going to be that next record.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Get on the water. Get off the couch. Get on the water.
You can't catch them if you're at home.
Exactly. We're not addicted. We're just looking for the next record. That's all.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you for joining, and I guess we'll see you on the water next year.
All right. Take it easy, Jim. I appreciate it.
Midwest Outdoors Magazine helps you enjoy the outdoors, giving you the best information on where to go, what to use, and how to use it. With fishing maps marked by the pros, nature notes, in-depth interviews, and much, much more. Your subscription gets you 10 big issues of the best in fishing, hunting, and the great outdoors. Plus, Midwest Outdoors Digital Edition gives you dozens of extra articles. Sign up now at MWOMag.com. That's MWOMag.com.
Hey guys, if you haven't looked outside, it's pretty snowy and we're in store for a long, cold winter. So there's no better time than now to get a peat dryer. Your feet are the farthest away from your heart, so they're the first things to get cold. Plus, you never want to have wet shoes the next day when you go out on the ice. So to keep your feet smelling good, keep them dry and warm, make sure this year you get a peat dryer available in a single or a double. So this year, guys, don't get left in the cold. Go get yourself a peat dryer. Alrighty, guys. Well, hey, the sun went down, the temperatures dropped, the snow kept coming, and we didn't catch a whole lot, I'll be honest. We caught some dinks. Tons of bait was in there. We snagged tons of emerald shiners, and some alewives were in there. You could actually see them boiling at the surface, so that makes me think them perch were all chasing them up, maybe the Lakers. We caught one jumbo between me and my buddy Mike, and about 20 dinks between the two of us. So we went in the afternoon, you know, normally not the time I would go, but the cool thing is we saw people leaving with bags and buckets of perch. So they're in. If you want to catch some beautiful lake perch out of Lake Michigan, head downtown right now, look for the slips, look for Navy Pier. The harbors, they'll start coming into there too as it gets colder. So some cool opportunities for making a great fish dinner here in Chicago. And last year, those perch showed up in Milwaukee and Kenosha and Racine. So we'll see if that's happening. If those fish continue to spread out, I know they catch them in the flats in Indiana. So perch everywhere right now, just waiting for some of those bigger fish to get closer to shore right now. We are all packed up, guys. We're headed out. We're headed to the St. Paul Ice Show. So if you see me, please say hi. We appreciate it, guys. Thank you always for subscribing and watching the show. It means the world. We couldn't do it without our title sponsor, Fish Daddy. That's where I'll be. Make sure you stop in and say hello, buy some stuff. Guys, if you've never used Fish Daddy baits, there's a reason why I've stuck with them for so long. It's different. They catch fish, open water or ice, but the ice is where I learned the power of the LED light. If you guys fish stained water, deep water, you have to have this in your arsenal. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Make sure to be back. We'll have another show for you. We'll be filming up at the St. Paul Ice Show, so if you see us walking around, get a photo bomb in there. And to all my Cheeseheads fans this weekend, go Bears. Guys, we'll see you at either the St. Paul Ice Show or on the ice this winter. Peace.